Hey everybody, my name is Skye. This is Kiko. We have the ups and downs of Raw podcast, and we are going to be talking today about bouncing back after illness. We are both raw vegan. Hey Kiko, or hi Raw and Raw Vegan. How are you?
Hi everyone. Hi Skye. Welcome back, Skye.
Thank you. It's good to be back. It was only a week, but it felt really long. I think because I was really disconnected. Well, it was kind of 2 weeks I started fading and then a week completely off.
Yeah, I was taking some breaks as well. I was thinking that I wanted to do some solo talks, but I said autumn is so beautiful. It's my favorite season of the time in Japan. It's beautiful everywhere I go. So I've been taking time hiking and cycling. Yeah.
Oh, you don't. I think when you're unwell, speaking of like bouncing back, and what's really important is when you do social media, and especially for me, getting well originally using social media is how much you process things and think about things. And then I always think, how will I present that? Because we share our life, right? And I
Mm.
was sick, and of course, I was doing what I used to do, and that is work with clients, do podcasts, and then go to bed. So, like
Mm.
any energy I had, I was giving away. And then I slowly cut back because I hadn't been doing so well for the last about month and a half. And then I was like, I looked at the screen, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Part of my healing journey is to not do the mistakes I made in the past where any energy I have. And then I was like, I really think I need to just even stop giving, like whatever's going on, like as in I just have to have energy and think about me. It was good. I missed it, but at the same time it was nice to just think about me.
Oh, that's great. I mean, you are very intense anyway, right? I mean, you were always
True.
so, yeah, I can understand that you need a bit of break. And I understand, I can relate to, like even while you're out, you're thinking about how you can post and share and
Yeah.
reach out to people. And I can definitely relate to that. And, I could have also pushed, like, because you have canceled a few times. And said, well, I could do my solo talk, but I already had a lot on my plate and I wanted to, you know, be at the moment and be in the moment and enjoy. So, but anyway, I'm really happy to reconnect with you, and hearing back, well, this is you are the one who came up with this title on bouncing back after illness. And I can relate to this as well because remember as a tour guide, I had to shift some diet because I was with my client for 2 weeks, a week with one client, and then another week away with my client. And I had some cooked food, so I will share, my experience on that.
Ah. Okay, I think what I've really noticed about being on this raw journey and classifying myself as a well person is anytime I've got sick, besides the shingles, that was like a longer period, but anytime something's knocked me down, like a virus or a broken foot or like even just having struggles with my hormones being balanced, is I notice that what predetermines how I cope mentally, emotionally as I go downhill is how I feel in my body now. So I am strong. My mind is strong. I have looked after myself. So when I get sick, it's very different than being chronic sick because I am already strong, if that makes sense. And so that is a gift in itself. It's a reason to look after yourself and not just be like, I'll sacrifice myself and deal with the flu or whatever I get later. I notice I'm very strong. Yes, I'll just say I'm sick for a week and a week, 2 weeks. I will lose some muscle mass. But when I start to get better, how easy it is to go back to what I was already doing. So, as a runner, as someone who does Pilates, as someone who is a coach and does podcasts and goes to the beach, is the longer I have established those patterns in my life, the easier it is for my body to
Mm.
return. And I think especially as we age, it's like I did a live on talking about how my diet is really a lot about now also making me strong.
Mm.
So, I guess everyone can be in different stages of life, and this feeds into as you age and when you get illness. And that is, I do a lot more nuts and seeds and greens and veggies. And when I do them, I feel strong.
Mm.
It's not, and a lot of people like, we're frugivores. Yes, we're frugivores, but I don't feel strong on only fruit. I can feel very light and energized, but I don't feel as strong. Now, I found also I get mast cell symptoms, so I don't have a lot of fruit right now. But I find for me, I need balance so that I am strong, especially not so much even for just sickness. I mean, fruit can keep you light, it can keep your immune system good. But as I age, you can fall, it's harder to get up after illness. There's a
Mm.
whole lot of reasons. So I like to establish good patterns, but also I want those patterns are what makes me strong.
Mhm. So, what do you think was the cause of? I mean, you were away. You had this very intense travel, right, in the States, and then you came back and you felt. I mean, you felt strong, so you had some more fruits than usual. And what do you think you were the reason that you were?
Oh, so you don't know. Okay. So I've shared this in many of my lives, and I shared it yesterday. The whole reason I got sick was this has happened throughout most of my life is something will just set me off. Now, 2 years ago, I got shingles, and I have had shingles before and suffered with massive problems with a neurological functional disorder, chronic fatigue, mental health problems for about 2 years after. So when I got up from that, I juiced myself out of it. And then remember, I was having a lot of sweet juices, and then I got this massive iron deficiency. I got high blood sugars and low sodium. So then I went into the greens. This time last year, I couldn't get up. I was doing what I was saying. I was coaching. I don't think I was doing many podcasts, but I was doing my work and going back to bed. And then by New Year's Eve, I couldn't get up. And for a month and a half, I'd had this calling to put my estrogen therapy back in my body because I've had a full hysterectomy. As I did, as you've known from this year, I just got better and better and better. But there's a caveat to that. It is a bioidentical hormone, estradiol. So it's basically just putting in my body what my body is missing. I can only use one brand. If you give me any other brand, I will, as I was having to leave clients, vomiting, canceling lives. I was just getting sicker, reacting to everything, no matter whether they use creams, different brands. Even though it's estradiol, I'm so sensitive. So that was a month and a half ago that this company ran out in Australia. So my health just declined. But what kept me up was being strong. So the
Mm.
only reason I could go a month and a half was because I already was strong until I got to a point where, and I was like a mental health thing where I could not do it anymore. And last week I was so sick. I had all FND symptoms back to the point where I was almost having seizures again. I couldn't stop shaking.
Oh, wow.
What we found worked was this brand is out of the milligrams that I need. This certain patch is just a transdermal patch, but this company has the lower dose. So I've got 2 of that brand on now. And that's taken about a week for the other stuff to get out of my system, and just my mental health had to come back. So that is why.
Oh, so you have now the product, I mean, the same one that was working well back in
Yes,
stock. Oh,
yes,
thankfully. Oh my.
yeah. But also, please know that this isn't just a new thing. I've always been this way. Not just with this medication, but any medication I've ever been on, or many things. If you just change one variable, even slightly, I can get mast cell activation, histamine issues. My body just will completely reject it.
Mm.
And so an example of this is when I was on medications is they'd be like, there's 2 brands of, there's like the actual like expensive brand, which would be like $32, and you could get the generic brand, which is supposed to be identical. whatever I was originally prescribed, if it worked, it only worked that exact brand. If anything went off brand, it would not work. I would have problems. Just very sensitive.
Oh,
So
wow.
being that sensitive, and I was trying everything, including fruits. And I find with fruits, I'll at the start feel better. And then
Mm,
all of a sudden it's like this histamine constant response. So
mhm,
that's where it just made it all that much worse. But yeah, the reason I just declined was like I was amazing in America, and this was psychologically so hard because it's the same pattern I was saying on the live yesterday. Is I was really good at sports. I did like basketball, rep netball, touch football, water polo, state water polo, regional water polo, dancing at Stedfords. I'd get to this level and
mm,
then I would be so sick I'd have to stop. And I just felt the same. Like I'm like, I just got to America and, I've come back and life is so good. And then something changes. And so
mm.
that was what really, and then a whole lot of symptoms with that. But that's really hard. That's really ingrained. But once again, I only bounce back because of the patterns I've already established in my life, like the exercise, the good eating habits, that I go outside. Um, I think exercise is just so important for building me strong, like making me more resilient physically. So, yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's never a perfect time, I guess, to get sick, but in a way, it's great that you were strong when you were traveling in the States, right? So you were able to enjoy.
So it's very annoying, this whole hormone thing. It always, I don't know why it works this way. It's done this ever since I've been I've been in chemically induced menopause since I think I was 29 and 28, 29. And then surgical menopause from 30. There's always been this problem with the hormones and running out. And I knew before I left, so one of the pharmacies will give me like as many as they have. And then I was calling around to get more for when I got back from America, and nowhere had any. And I'm like, I'll deal with that when I get back. But yeah, that would have been tragic if that happened
Right.
in America. Yeah, no, that would have, but it
So,
wouldn't have surprised me either. I know this sounds, and it's probably a protective mechanism, is just the way my life's been. It's like mum and dad were trying to find like a remedy for like trying to find, and they're pushing me. But I kind of get to this point where I'm like, I just accept it. The more I try, and until I was so sick last week, I called my old pharmacist and I said, look, it shows that this amount. He goes, I'll get it all for you. And so
mm,
that worked out. But I kind of sit in this space of, it's not give up, but I find it easier to accept than get angry, than
mm.
continue to fight a downhill slide. Like just do what you can.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's great that you know what works, right? Because there, daily life, we could be confused as to what went wrong,
True.
and you knew exactly what needed to be changed. So that's good.
I get told that a lot. A lot of people say that to me often, that you're so in tune with
Mm,
what's going on. And I guess that's kind of how I knew with the raw foods, is I felt in my body completely different. And a lot of people say I didn't feel that, or it took some time. But
mm,
I think I'm very sensitive. And on top of that, at rock bottom, it's all I kind of could feel was,
mm.
how I was feeling emotionally with the food. Yeah, when I ate it. So
Yeah, I am super sensitive, and my also not as much to the degree as you are, I think, but like I remember my sister-in-law, and she says that, oh, Kiko, you're like litmus paper. So basically, there's a paper that
yeah,
this test, right?
yeah.
And yeah, you can just give any food to Kiko, and she would tell exactly what it is.
Oh, I love that. It's like the
Yeah,
potential of hydrogen, right? Whether it's acidic or alkaline.
yeah.
You're like that determined. I like that.
Yeah, and and I would like to share also what I have gone through, a bit of I guess illness. Like I was always active. I didn't have to stay in bed. I wasn't bedridden, But while I was traveling with my client, I remember, I mean, I did share in this podcast as well that I was shifting, and like planning, and I think including some of the more dehydrated food so that I can prepare for some cooked food, because I wasn't sure how I can, navigate with all uh, raw food. I prepared a lot of raw food, like, salad wraps and um, dehydrated savory pancakes, so it would last. But it was still in a warmer climate, so it wouldn't last as long. So into maybe three, fourth, fifth day, I was eating out some vegan food with my clients. I was like, oh, this is really nice to be able to share with, you know, cooked food with my client. And then those are very clean food, very, uh, very simple, like buckwheat noodle, 100% buckwheat noodle with some soy sauce. But at the same time, I was super, super um, stressed because there were a lot of mistakes on the Asian side. So I was trying to juggle everything, trying to fix the issues with my client, trying to serve my clients at the same time. And I wasn't having as much greens as I would when I was at home, right? Because I was always my client. And then that took a toll, maybe like a week after I
Oh,
started to,
wow.
yeah, I started to have a eye twitching. Do you have that? Have you ever had that eye twitching?
Not since I was like at school, or I did work for about 3, 4 years in my 20s, and I would get it then, like where the body is like, I feel like it's where you've pushed your body past what it's meant to do, and you're not sleeping right, and then that's playing like absolute havoc, and you get that like,
Yeah, yeah. It's funny, I never had it, and I only started having it some years ago. But it's very rare. I could count maybe 2, 3 times in my life, and this time, yeah, I started to have it. I still have it just a tiny bit, but it's much better. So yeah, for me, I noticed some difference while I was, going through this stressful time and eating some cooked food. But for me, my body takes a toll, usually 4 days, 5 days after. So,
interesting. So Koala Mama said that she got it when she was working overtime, and yeah, it was only when I was like really working. Like I almost feel like when I think back is something like school or work is where you're very stressed but not moving. Like
mm,
now I move a lot, like where you like discharge all of that adrenaline that kind of like builds up, and then you're like,
mm.
um,
Yeah, I mean, I thought that would be fine because again, I planned quite a bit, in well in advance. I brought my portable, high speed blender. I had lots of greens. I brought green powders, but I think on top of that, going through a very intense stress. Uh,
yeah.
yeah, there was a time I told my agent that you know what, you're not collaborating with me, and I can't make everything perfect when I'm juggling everything and everyone is trying to
Mm.
handle me. So it's a good experience for me. This year I wanted to challenge myself and see how I would feel after intense 1 week or 2 weeks of being away from home and with client. So starting from, well, I mean, I already told the client that I'm not taking this kind of intense trip, especially when they're not trying to when they're not collaborating with me. So I know now in the future how to protect myself, and it was a good experience. Oh, and then another symptom that I saw was I started to see a cyst on my
Really?
gum. Mhm. And this is one of the common symptom that I had. So I started having it like maybe no, to come to think of it, I had it when I was in New York, and then they said that they have to have a biopsy, and but because I was on the high raw vegan diet, it was very minor. It would just come back when I eat out often, and this symptom came back. So I still have a bit of a like how it's a it's yeah, maybe there is a pus inside, but this is a symptom I would have when I eat cooked food. And,
Interesting.
yeah, cooked food, not any kind of cooked food, not, fast food, like organic, vegan, not too much oil cooked food in Japan. I would still have this kind of reaction. So, one could say, oh my God, this is terrible. But I think for me, it's a good reminder. My body is meant to eat raw vegan food, with love. In a
Yeah.
way, it's good that my body know. I mean, there's a sign that my body can send me the sign so that I can feel good all the time. And again, these symptoms are, you know it, it's it is bothering. It makes my teeth become more sensitive, and it's not a nice feeling, but
Yeah.
I know how to get back to it. So it's a good reminder for me to be on the good path.
Yeah. Do you know what is coming to me and about the cooked food is when I found the raw foods, it wasn't so much about have this because it has this vitamin or have that because it has this mineral and this like is that's what you need. It was more what it felt like literally was there's some sort of life force in it. You can't
Mm,
get it wrong if you eat celery over mango or as long as I didn't eat it cooked. And and that's like I think that's even like if you've ever eaten food fresh from a garden or a tree, it's a
mm,
whole nother level. It doesn't really matter about what the food was. It's like I can feel very like just like a light being from picking like peas from someone's garden and eating them. It's not even fresh fruit. And
mm.
it tastes completely different. And I feel you have to be on a raw diet to completely understand this. I
Yeah.
feel like when you tell people, it's because it's like a consciousness thing, right? People
Mm,
are just like, oh, like that's airy fairy hippie stuff. It's like, no, if you've done juicing or you've done, I think juicing is a good example because many people juice and then go back.
mm,
There's a force that you're taking in
mm,
before even your body assimilates the vitamins. I have a question. So when you eat dehydrated food versus cooked food, like I'm
mm.
talking about, like you might make your pancakes or something like that, versus say a steamed potato or something. What's the fascinated is because dehydrated food is heavier in the system. So what's the
Mm.
difference if you eat
Yeah.
cooked?
Okay. So, um, I think if I were to make a steamed food, steamed veggies, right? I think I would feel fine. I just don't. Um, I just don't feel. I don't desire those food anymore at home. So the only way I would eat cooked food nowadays is because I'm away and I don't have enough food to bring myself, and I also wanted to test where I am. So I ate restaurant foods, right? So the restaurant food for me is very different from what I would prepare myself. I don't think I would have had these symptoms if I made the similar food. It would not be the same.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that makes sense. So yeah,
What I
steam.
hear from clients is it's like a downhill slope. Is once
Mm,
they taste the cooked food, they well, it's like I guess a consciousness thing, right? Is they
mm,
then very easily lax into, oh, I'll have that coffee, and I'll have, then that turns into, I'll have some takeaway. Like it just escalates until a point
yeah.
where most people feel really sick. So that's why they prefer to do dehydrated food, because it doesn't seem to trigger as much for the person.
Yeah, and for me, who prepares the meal is very important. And that's why I'm very mindful when I'm in the kitchen that I am in a good mood. I'm singing and, making jokes with my husband. I listen to a good podcast with good vibes or the music that's upbeat. And that's very important for my own food and also my cafe food, especially when I prepare cafe food. Once a week I have a raw vegan pop-up cafe, right? I'm very mindful that kind of energy that I pour into. So when was it? This was about maybe 2 weeks ago. I had a cooked food at this community space cafe. So you know, I have my cafe at the community space, right? And this community space, I love. People are all, everyone's so lovely, and
Oh,
really, I love this community. And this is where I have my raw vegan cafe, and they're not vegan, but they're pretty much vegan. When whatever they prepare is it's organic, or even much better than organic, natural way of farming. And they're very mindful people. And sometimes they would add like fish stock, but it's very easy to separate. So when I come to their events, they always prepare a vegan version. Their food is already 95% vegan, so just the soup, miso soup, they would just they wouldn't add the fish stock. So anyway, I said, "Okay, I haven't been with them in this kind of eating event." So I said, okay, let me try and see how I feel. And yeah, it's very clean food, but I felt very heavy, and I saw some negative effect in my body after. And when I saw, so they prepare in front of us, and there are 4 or 5 people in the kitchen, and they're hustling and bustling and preparing the meal. And I've noticed that people seem to be stressed in the kitchen. And
true.
these are very lovely people. And why they were stressed, I think they wanted to make sure that the meal is, you know, as good as it could be. So they stress themselves to serve on time, serve, as much food as possible. And I tend to absorb that kind of energy. So
Yeah.
had I made the same food with the same ingredients, maybe I wouldn't feel, I wouldn't have that kind of negative, um, yeah, thing after eating cooked food. But again, right now I'm in a place that I prefer eating raw vegan food. I have more dehydrated food now because of the colder climate.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I do. For me as well, if I cook steamed veggies, maybe it's not that bad, but it's just my body tends to crave that kind of cooked food.
Yeah,
So
that's what I hear.
yeah, so thankfully I don't crave that kind of food anymore. So I just stay raw.
Yeah, so I brought this up before. There was a study done, and I think it was on chickens. It was some sort of study on cholesterol in animals. And one of the groups who was fed a high cholesterol diet, the animals were, came back, their cholesterol was lower, like it lowered. And they couldn't figure out why. And they found out that the people feeding them were playing with them and holding them and
Mhm,
talking to them.
mhm,
So there's that love, and that completely changed the
yeah,
outcome.
mhm,
And other thing, when you're talking about restaurants and it being like high stress, it makes me think about how the people that go to like the most stressful restaurants. So like if you go to like a Michelin star or a 5-star restaurant, you've got like everything is like stressful, right? Um,
Mm,
the people going there are usually working extremely stressful, high pressured jobs. It's kind of like an energy match. Whereas,
yeah.
like, I think that is like says something as well. But it's good that you can feel that. The
Mm,
other thing I was going to say about being sick is when I was first raw and I would get like a cold or a flu, it was like during the COVID time off the back of that. I think it was like COVID, whatever it was.
mm,
Every time I got it, I would have no cooked food cravings. Like I just loved the raw food until I get sick. And I would literally want like pastas and like it doesn't happen anymore. Now I usually want watermelon
mm,
or a juice or something. But for I think the first year and a half, and I guess that feeds into like you could say, my body's detoxing and their cravings. But I would lay there and my concentration was really bad. So there was nothing really distracting me. And I'd have to have a lot of like not sweet fruits but savory to get myself through, like as in I would have like sun-dried tomatoes, date. I don't even think I had sun-dried tomatoes, like tomatoes, dates, garlic, like make pasta, like raw pasta to try and like, whereas most people would do watermelon and juices. So
mm,
but once again, when I think to those situations, the one thing that stood out is how quickly I would get back up and go to the routine that I already had. So, like, I
mm,
think a lot of people can be sick and then they go through it and they might just be having soups and juices, and then they go back to a really stressful job, eating unhealthy, and the whole body will just build up again, where will build up with toxins and run you down. So
mm,
like I really think the key for me to bounce back is what I'm already doing, what I've already established. And then and this is my personal, is I have to be careful how fast I go back. And it's definitely a learned behavior, but as you can tell, most of my life, I have gotten really sick. And if there's been any window of like feeling good, I would be like, I want to do everything I can, because I think my body learnt from a very young age. There was just like this short period. So I
mm,
think that's why I'm either like near death, or as soon as I'm like up, I'm like, what can I do? Because this won't last long. So I
mm.
have to just like make sure I don't do too much as I
Yeah.
come back. Like that for me is a key, which I'm working on, right? But I'm also in a blessed situation that I am strong now.
Yeah, beautiful. We all learn from our own journey, and it's all okay. Like I love this embracing journey, because nothing is that bad, that we're still living, right? And we are learning while we are living. And also another point is that I wanted to mention is, like, be mindful of who you surround with, right? So
Yeah.
and that's why I love connecting with you, and I love all the other podcasts that we do together, women's health podcast, raw party in the US and Europe. I really, and that makes it so much easier for me to be raw vegan, because I'm not alone. I'm not doing all this alone. I have this beautiful community outside of Japan,
Yeah.
and that is huge help for me. And again, I think this year being raw vegan, fully raw vegan, has been so easy. And thanks to you, Skye, I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. But really, it's thanks to you. You're the one that's decided to show up. You're the one that's knowing what works for you. But I wanted to say is, so it's been a week that I've been disconnected and not doing this, what I love, and talking to you guys and not really talking to anyone, not really being even in social media, like looking at a lot of posts. And when I was like walking yesterday, I was really struggling with being a raw vegan, because I realized for the past week, well, I've been very alone. And in the last 3 days, I've been doing more, is everyone that I'm around and talking to is not doing what I'm doing. Usually I'm like on here, and even it doesn't have to be on camera. It can be the fact that I'm usually like in seeing what everybody's doing, chatting to people in the messages, and that had all stopped. So I think that's why I just like this felt part of me to just evolve and do this, because we're all so scattered around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't just mean us on camera, I mean everybody who shows up and watches these and joins in. And I really think a huge key to staying raw is the online community. I don't think I could just, like, good on the people who do that. I was in a real battle with myself because everyone around me, it's like Sunday afternoon, they've got a glass of wine, they're listening to music in places I don't really go. And it brought up a lot of memories for me. But then when I get back into this is my happy place. This is what I want to do. But when you're cut off,
Mm-hmm.
I guess the brain does what it's supposed to do, and that's it, you want to be part of something.
Yeah, and exactly that's exactly what I wanted to share. When I was with my client, right, and my clients were very they were very excited about Japanese food, and they wanted to explore. So I went into supermarkets and I was buying some stuff for them, and I started to this is something I'm not proud of, that I'm not going to repeat. Is so one of the client, it was mother and daughter, very lovely. All my clients are very very lovely, and they were mostly plant based, but they wanted to explore different food. So well. Because I was away from this community, raw vegan community, and with my clients, like just like you were, like we were very much of a minority anywhere we
Yeah.
go in the world, right? So I started to remember how it was back in my
Yeah.
childhood. Like I used to eat lots and lots of junk food in Japan, and maybe junk food is not as bad as junk food in the States. It's less oily, less sugary, but still a junk food. And I this daughter, she was very much keen on trying different things. So I said, oh, have you tried this, have you tried this? And most, they're not vegan, right? So I have shared like what I used to enjoy as I was kid. And then one of the last gift that I gave to my client was it was not vegan, and it was expensive travel company, so it wasn't coming out of my pocket. And I think that I made it okay, because I would never buy anything that's not
Yeah.
vegan with my own pocket, right? But it was me who was buying it. So I felt really bad after, and my clients were very happy, like, wow, this is so delicious. And I said, like, how much like out of my way I would go to please other people. And of course
Yeah.
I want to make sure that my clients are happy and they're experiencing the best. But I don't have to bend my policy of being vegan. Like there are so many ways that they could. I mean, they were very happy without doing all of that with me. So like I would not repeat that, but yeah,
Yeah.
that I just forget, like going into supermarkets. Like every night I was going into my to supermarkets, and when I go to supermarkets, usually I just go to fruit and just for fruit produce section, right? Fruits and vegetable section, and I just go straight to the cashier. But while I was traveling, I was looking for like a powdered green
Yeah. Yeah.
powder.
Yeah.
So that's out of produce section. It's like, oh, I started to think, oh, I have this and they have this, and then then I started buying them something that I would never buy, if I was you know staying fully raw. So
Yeah. So on that topic, so I remember when I first went raw vegan, and I was like obsessed about not giving anybody anything that really wasn't even towards the high raw, and like would get almost angry inside, and I
mhm,
would feel really bad. What I noticed over time though, so take my nieces for example, is when they see me, one wants celery, one wants cucumber, the other's like, will you make nice cream? So they eat a lot when they're around me of like wanting food, because I guess I've influenced them that way. And when we're out, they will want things that aren't necessarily raw or even vegan. And I guess a lot of mums would be could be in similar situations. And I will get them things that aren't vegan. But what I notice is that what they get will be more raw than usual. So my niece will want acai, which is like raw, but maybe there's something on it like Biscoff, or she's had chocolate chips sprinkled on top. I'm okay because I know she's making a relatively good decision. Like I also remember is like when people move over to just say vegan, they not necessarily do it overnight. Sometimes that's like they might go vegetarian, they go vegan, they go back a bit, like as a transition. Or my niece will get like strawberries. She'll choose strawberries, and I feel like she's choosing that, but she'll get chocolate on top. Like I feel like she is influenced by me, but not the whole way. That's like I'm around Addie more than the older one, and so that makes me happy. But you're right. Like I don't buy gifts or anything that isn't vegan, but like I guess other like family members can relate if they got to get their partner something or kids something. But I remember at the start I was like really angry, and I also know that anger can be toxic, like as in I'm not here to change the world. I feel like I can change the world the more I work on me. And that's like looking after me, and people like, what do you do? How did you heal? And then I feel like I can help people more by looking after me, because like 8 billion people is a lot of people to change, you know?
Yeah, I can relate to that. I wrote one incident with my nephew in my Namado book. One incident with my nephew. I got so upset with my parents buying a junk food, because if you ever come to Japan, like junk food here in Japan, they do it in the art form. They have such a cute package, and everything looks so innocent and pure, while inside is not. So I was like
Yeah.
really upset. But again, I've realized my nephew ended up crying because I was so upset, and I realized
Yeah. And
that, yeah.
I also think those things can run deep, as in kids will get more stubborn. I feel
Exactly.
if you traumatize a kid and don't give them, they're like, I'm always going to get that. Like that's going to be, like, I know that stays ingrained deep. So like as they get older, they don't budge. So
Yeah.
it's like, that's what you got to think about, right? It's not as simple as like, which mums would know, as like you have to eat this, because majority of the time they want to be like their friends. So, and
Yeah.
it's like us, is I'm and then out around no raw vegans, and I want to be like them, because we as humans survive. Not we survive because we community and socializing. We're socializing beings. We do what we want to do, what people around us do. So it's like, I guess what I'm saying is you will bounce back better if you are in this community.
Yeah.
Like even like I just think it's like when you think about people like Dr. Morse, who just, and who's the other one? Fred Bishy, I've heard him talk about it, is just none of them didn't even have blenders.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a whole nother level of. But I wonder if it has a lot to do with how you train yourself when you first get well. So I really, as soon as I was getting well, I always had social media. Even when I couldn't read, that you could look at photos on Instagram and you felt part of something already. So I don't know whether that has something to do with it, but
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. I mean, if you can't find any community, like how I started was just read about people who has done raw vegan, or just listen to podcasts. Like all I listened to was all raw vegan podcasts while I was on this journey, especially in the beginning. I just showered myself. Now it's my second nature, so I don't have to listen to all that raw vegan podcasts. But yeah, it's very important to surround yourself with people who you want to become, and that could be raw vegan, that could be
Yes.
financial goals, or and for me the purpose, the focus is to be happy and strong and be able to do what I want in my life, and yeah, and be able to serve as much as possible to this world, whoever that is. It's important to be able to give, because that's the feeling that I get the most of satisfaction with. But to do so, I would not be able, I have to be strong. I have to be happy every day.
Yeah. And that's like when I think about anything we do is we need to learn to look after ourselves, give ourselves love, give ourselves the right nutrition and exercise before we go out and try and give anything to anybody else. Like think about doctors, is most doctors I've been to do not look healthy. And they're there all day trying to fix people. That energy itself is not healing. And what I think I learned on this journey is once I am full and I overflow with this energy and strength, is that's where I give. And then that's like last week where I stopped because there was no more giving. I had to go back into the cup and like fill it up again. The cup was empty.
Yeah. Because I do interpret, I work as an interpreter for some beautiful experiences, like tea ceremony experiences. And like 2 days ago, I was explaining to my clients with what's called kakejiku. So maybe I can show you. So this is called kakejiku in Japanese. This is a Japanese, it's a Chinese calligraphy.
Yep.
And what we do is in the tea ceremony room, we always have this calligraphy, and that's the most important piece of tea ceremony. And that's a message for the tea master to share to their guests. So they would choose the calligraphy, which is the Zen proverb. So there's a message from Zen Buddhism, and one message that they have shared that day was basically, if your center is, if you're so grounded and centered, even there's a strong wind from 8 different directions, you would still be grounded. So the message is that you're strong enough, grounded,
Right.
that so be strong enough that you would not be swayed.
Waver.
Right. And I thought that was beautiful, that it was a good reminder for me to have a good ground, and that whether that could be meditation, exercise, food. And actually that's all of that for me, like raw food, exercise, meditation, breathing, all of, and having good community, surround myself with good people. That allows me to be really grounded and centered, that even winds come from, the typhoon comes from all over, I am still.
I like that. I like that. We have to find that inner strength and where that comes from, like movement, nature, good food, good people, our happiness. So thank you. It was so good to do this. And we're gonna have, I'm gonna put it up, we're gonna have the Europe party. It's like, oh well, no, it's the opposite. So it's like not tonight, but tomorrow night, which I think, which is, it's 9 a.m. CET time and 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time.
Tomorrow,
yes.
Yes, I'm really excited. And then women's podcast, we haven't decided.
No, we've got the book club first, and then and so I don't know, I think we might be moving the women's podcast into December.
Okay, excellent. I'm really excited.
Yeah. Yes, everybody get the book Muse by Dr. Amanda.
Yeah, I finished reading that. I'm really excited.
Dr. Amanda Hansen. I've still got to finish reading it. So
it's great. The book club is what we talk about. This was like a few months ago, right? During summertime.
I reckon it was about 4 months ago we tried to start this. And then who brought it up? Oh, Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now
so it's happening.
Yeah. That's great. Excellent.
And
Thank
also anyone who doesn't want to buy the book, you can get it on Spotify if you have Spotify and just listen to it.
Yeah. I listen to the audio version. That's much easier for me too. Yeah. Are you doing the audio? The book?
Yeah, I'm doing audio. I'm on Spotify.
Excellent. Okay.
All
Well,
right. I will see you guys
everyone.
soon. Bye.
Thanks, Skye.